Hi, viewers. On this episode of Cleantech Hero, we have with us Dr. Frank Loeschmann, co-founder and CEO of Hycell Engage, which is a hydrogen fuel cell startup incorporated in India after 7 years of R&D in Germany and Spain. Dr. Frank Loeschmann, who is the former CEO of Volkswagen India, is also a notable sustainability mobility evangelist. Welcome to this podcast, Dr. Frank.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and pleasure to be here with you and discussing a little bit about new technologies and possibilities for India.
Thanks a lot. So, Dr. Frank, can you begin by briefing us about your journey from the beginning and how your journey led to the creation of Hycell Engage?
Oh, it's a quite interesting story. As you already mentioned, I have been in India around about 13 years ago for some few years, starting with my engagement for the Volkswagen Group, and later on with my own company, System. And I have seen a lot of opportunities in India to grow business and to go with business. And this every time is quite interesting for me. New countries, new possibilities, new engagements everywhere in the world. And I thought there will be some difficulties to start with new businesses in India if there is no solution for energy topics in the future. And based on this knowledge, we started already in Germany with some technology developments. And technology developments in terms of using renewable energy. And as the Chinese were quite stable already in terms of battery technologies, we concentrated on fuel cell, on hydrogen very first, because I strongly believe in the hydrogen technology in terms of reliable energy, and the most important thing, we can produce it everywhere in the world without hesitation to some carbon-based burning necessities. And hydrogen is feasible for different possibilities to engage, for example, burn it in industries, in mobility, in heating, in cooling sections, and so on. So from my point of view, hydrogen is one of the most advanced possibilities to store and create energy for the next future. As India, around about 1-2 years ago, established a program, especially to hydrogen. There was a quite good combination in between us, our engagement in hydrogen and the India idea to start with hydrogen business to make something happen. And that happens with Venu Varma, my friend and colleague, and we created this company Hycell in India, as well as System in Germany, to have a combination in between knowledge of technology in Germany and using the possibilities, the opportunities in India.
If you consider the overall energy landscape in India, so here, how relevant do you think, or how important do you think is hydrogen for our future?
I believe in hydrogen worldwide as one of the most important topics for the future. Everybody's telling me if you have to create hydrogen, you need to respect the losses in between the complete process. I believe that's wrong. That's wrong because if we are seeing carbon, like carbon-oriented systems, like heating systems, like mobility systems, everything what is based on oil, we have to first accept that we need to buy the oil. Doesn't matter if it's in India or in Europe, and the seller of the oil are usually politically not that stable that we can adjust ourselves to the situation as it is. So hydrogen in that case, it's a quite, I would like to say, democratic, systematic, that we can store energy, create energy based on our needs, and it's up to us to make it happen. So from my point of view, especially in India, it's a real, let's say, second advantage compared to other systems to go in future to hydrogen and not that much to diesel engines and to combustion systems like heating systems and so on. So from my point of view, hydrogen is definitely one of the most feasible futuristic topics to have a replacement of carbon-oriented systems.
Could you share how does the hydrogen value chain looks like, and where do you see the need for most focus to make hydrogen-fueled mobility a reality?
There are several opinions to that. Especially the scientists are thinking about it very small, because the use of the hydrogen needs some technology development, and everybody's thinking about very small systems, how to create out of hydrogen again electrical energy. From my point of view, the circle creating hydrogen in India is not a big issue. We need to create the green electricity producer, like photovoltaic and systems like that, but there are some other possibilities. And we need the creation of the hydrogen through electrolyzing systems, and then the transport of the hydrogen everywhere where hydrogen is needed in India. So from my point of view, the first thing to be concentrated on is the creation of hydrogen. The second step is the transport of hydrogen, with the main importance. There are some possibilities through tubes, what are existing already in terms of gas pipelines and these kinds of things, and also transportation over land by train, by trucks. And then I'm with the next topic. What is the most feasible starting point for the hydrogen use? Very first, and that's something we have to accept, hydrogen will replace carbon systems in the industry. That means we are expecting a huge demand of hydrogen based on steel production, for example, and aluminium production, and these kinds of material creating systems. As second, I see mobility, as you already mentioned, especially in the high weight, long distance transport system. I would not say it's transportation by truck, it's transportation by train, it's transportation by ship. It's all of them. It's a little bit the combination of distance and weight, because it does not make that much sense to have some hydrogen systems with fuel cells integrated in smaller cars, or especially when we are talking about traffic, city traffic, and these kinds of things. I think there the battery is unbeatable. In terms of long range transportation, as it is trucks, it is also trains, I think the hydrogen system with a big fuel cell is very feasible, and that's also what we are focusing on.
Right. Can you comment on the current state of fuel cell production in India?
We are at a starting point. Our discussions, Hycell with some, let's say, investigators in terms of universities, in terms of governments, and in terms of companies, they are looking to find the right starting point. And they are doing right, from my point of view. Everybody right now is concentrating especially on giving a starting point through the hydrogen production. That means electrolyzing systems. And everybody's right now interested in our own developed fuel cell and PEM fuel cell. What is then related to use the hydrogen again, creating the electrical energy needed for e-mobility, for stationary uses, but also for transportation uses. And the most important topic from my point of view is to create this network, this technical network, to have on one hand the stable production of hydrogen, and on the other hand the uses at the same time to be grown. Because we have seen it in other countries. Everybody was really engaged in terms of new technologies for mobility in hydrogen, missing the hydrogen itself. In India, it's a little bit different. People are thinking more in parallel, creating the hydrogen as well as using the hydrogen with different systems. I think it's a good time, and it's a good starting point in India to make these steps in parallel. And I think we have the competency in India to handle both. On one hand, the creation of hydrogen, and on the other hand, the uses for stationary as well as mobility uses.
And what is the current readiness of fuel cell technology for heavy vehicles, like you mentioned?
I would like to go back a few years in the past. That means 130 years roundabout. The hydrogen fuel cell was created some 130 years ago by a guy called Siemens. So it's not new.
Right.
And that is something to recognize every time, because we are thinking already, okay, how can we beat a combustion engine with petrol or with diesel? It's not that difficult. The only point is, some 130 years ago, let's say the interest was more in combustion engines. It was a little bit easier to handle, and there was no electricity in that area. But the technology is already old. What we missed out are the last, let's say, 60, 80 years to further develop this technology, as well as the network to make it happen. That's to be done right now, and that is not that difficult. That means right now we have technologies for creating hydrogen, not enough capacity yet. And on the other hand, we have the technology, especially we like Hycell system. We have already a fuel cell what can be produced quite in a large scale. That means a serious production with a high number of fuel cells. That needs some 1 to 2 years to be implemented in India, and then we can grow this business quite fast. So this needs, from my point of view, a little bit of engagement, a little bit of risk management, and a little bit of governmental support. And then in some 2 to 3 years, we see already a quite interesting scale up of the hydrogen technology in India. So technology-wise, we are ready. In terms of capacities, we have to implement a lot of these kinds of capacities, and we have to focus especially on the distribution net to make this hydrogen not only happen in Delhi or in Mumbai, but also in the other landscapes in India, because a truck running to the south of India needs also in the south of India some possibilities to refill with hydrogen.
Right, right. You mentioned that battery-operated vehicles are more suitable for passenger cars and smaller vehicles, whereas for long-haul vehicles, fuel cells are more suitable. If that is the case, and also coupled with the fact, like you mentioned, that the technology is already ready, why do you think most of the heavy vehicle manufacturers, like commercial vehicles and buses, they are making all non-IC vehicles on battery-operated EV systems and not hydrogen?
Because there was missing information from my point of view. Very first, it is a very strong push in electrical vehicles by the European Union, and especially by the Asian market in terms of China. They are concentrating on this technology, and I do understand it's every time a second development, starting from combustion engines and electrical engines with battery, and now we are talking about hydrogen, and we are still not ready with every possibilities in terms of development. So there is a kind of interest in the topics to be done step by step. The hydrogen is coming right now. The hydrogen is coming on a larger scale, because all the transportation systems already available in terms of electrical cars with battery technology, they are seeing the disadvantages of the system. It's quite heavy, and the range of these cars is usually up to 2, maximum 300 kilometers. And this is a range, especially in India, we don't need to discuss this topic more. Then we could stick to the combustion engine, what is environmental not possible in the future. So we need this change to hydrogen to be coming up. And I believe in India, the science as well as the politicians understood this topic a lot better than in other countries. And these technology openness we see in India, nothing against electrical cars with battery, nothing against hydrogen cars, even though both technologies will survive as, let's say, not as competition, but as add-on in the future. And that's to be understood. And we are seeing this turnaround of this way of thinking already also in Europe.
Apart from mobility, what other use cases of hydrogen fuel cells do you foresee?
Interesting are, let's say, all technologies where we are burning something. That means, for example, heating systems, cooling systems, stationary systems to create electricity. There's also a quite interesting demand out of India that they would like to have a backup solution to switch from the power plant to a decentralized system. What could be done with a combustion engine, but better to be done with a hydrogen system, where the fuel cell, the PEM fuel cell, plays the main role in this technology. And you can imagine we are talking about some 500 million families in India. To deliver to all these 500 million families in India, we are talking about a huge amount of energy, and to make this change from burning technologies, perhaps from nuclear plants, what I do not expect, but in this case, there is a huge demand also in stationary systems for heating, for cooling, for creating electricity in the future.
Frank, can you also tell us about your product's USPs and the kind of market validation it has received so far?
We are right now in the position to offer the most durable fuel cell worldwide. Usually fuel cells have a duration of 30,000 hours, let's say, as maximum. And when we are talking about stationary system, that's fine. That's fair enough, and that's enough for, let's say, a kind of lifetime when we are using this electricity creating systems. For trucks, it's a little bit different. And truck is running around about 1 million up to 1.2 million kilometers in lifetime, and the economy of scale of the system complete needs and systematic what is reliable also for this 1.2 kilometers if it's then hydrogen. And our technology, our way of doing the fuel cell is related on durability, and that's our main, let's say, our main advantage, that we can deliver a system what stays our lifetime in a truck. And that was our main and most important topic. Second, our fuel cell, what we developed, and we will sell it like Hycell in India, I hope next year, from next year on, is that we can add 2 or 3 or 4 fuel cells together to one system. Because we have use cases where we need 100 kilowatt. That's the power of our fuel cell. Some others need some 200, 300, 400 kilowatts. When we are talking about trains, for example, we only need to combine these systems, and this standardized system, this standardized module, is a huge advantage in terms of cost. Everybody else needs to create different kinds of fuel cells. We can offer in the same size and a lot cheaper, and let's say a 4-range fuel cell system with 400 kilowatt, as well as a 100 kilowatt fuel cell system, or an 80 kilowatt fuel system every time with the same stack build up. So there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of, let's say, advantage for us in the technology. As far up to now, the fuel cells we have run in Europe with Volkswagen, with Eurobus, and with some truck refurbishments, what we did. All these fuel cells are running in between right now 20,000 hours up to 80,000 hours without any failure. And that's a good advantage from my point of view, to give also the proof that our fuel cell really is available for minimum 60,000 hours.
And where is your facility located in India?
We are looking for a facility. Right now, we are discussing with several possibilities in terms of the production. We are still producing in Europe, But we are planning next year to make the change, and we are open to discuss with some interested parties, as investors, as governments, to find the right solution in terms of, let's say, technology hub, as well as also economically interesting for us.
What are your recommendations for the overall enhancement of the hydrogen-based ecosystem? And what do you suggest could be incorporated, from the government side while designing the policies for this?
I believe it's every time an topic, I would like to say, of sustainability. We have seen some huge engagements in Europe and in US in different technology sectors, but it's only a small push. And when the push is over, the system is usually going down up to a certain level to be started, and that's very slow. I think in terms of hydrogen business, we need to speed up. That means automatically there needs to be a support, governmental support, as well as science support over a longer time. I guess for the build-up of the complete net, let's say hydrogen net in India, there's a need of 10 to 15 years to make the system in that case run. And I personally believe that is also a challenge and a chance for the Indian supporters, as there are the governments, as there are private investors, to invest over the next 10 to 15 years in this technology. And then we will have a running system that means hydrogen creation, what is already existing. That means photovoltaic, for example, plus electrolyzers. Then the complete net to deliver the hydrogen wherever it's needed. That's not done yet. And the production sites for the fuel cells to make the change again in direction electricity. So that needs a little bit of time. And so my request or my support will be over the next 10 to 15 years, and that's necessary to make this systematic run. We, like Hycell, like system, we can produce the fuel cell in amount of 20 up to 50,000 in 2 to 3 years from now. But when we are looking at India as one of the major countries worldwide, in terms of population, in terms of technology growth, I think it's definitely necessary to put some more efforts than only the Hycell and system effort.
So thanks a lot for speaking with us, Dr. Frank, and thanks a lot for the insightful answers. We wish you all the best and hope to see your product roll out next year.
Thank you very much for this interview, and hope to see you again, let's say next year then in India.